So, good afternoon to everybody on the call today. We're looking forward to kicking off our 26-27 Fulbright Irish program. Today is the first webinar that we're hosting. I'm going to just hold off for a minute before we delve into any of the detail, just to allow people to log in. So there'll be a minor pause here. Today I'm going to speak about some of the awards and some of the details about it, and be supported as well by Sarah West, who is the Deputy Executive Director of the Commission. We have two Fulbright alum who are also going to speak about their experiences. So I think it should be a good and robust conversation today. For people who have come on and viewed these before, a lot of the information will remain quite similar. It's an enduring program, so not a huge amount of changes. We do have some new awards, and I guess it's always useful just to talk about the options that are available in each and every year. So I think probably we should have people logged in by now, so I'm happy to move forward. Sarah, next slide, please. A little bit about the Commission. I represent, as the Executive Director, the Ireland United States Commission for Educational Exchange. We are set up as part of a binational agreement between Ireland and the United States. We were formally set up in 91, but actually the program has existed, the Fulbright program part has existed much longer. So we are the Ireland United States Commission for Educational Exchange. The major program that we run is the Fulbright program, which I'm sure everybody on this call knows about. We also fund all Irish language in the United States and associated programs with that. And finally, we provide Education USA portal. Just in terms of the program, we're obviously now into 101 years of the mission, but last year was 100 years of diplomatic relations between Ireland and the United States. And Fulbright was a part of that process and that program for 67 years. Next slide, please, Sarah. I mentioned Education USA just as a brief comment that this is a portal service that we provide, which links into a bigger program in the US. So it's composed of many advising centers across many countries. It's supported by the US State Department, and it's really there to provide information for undergraduate and postgraduates who wish to study in the United States. So it's somewhat parallel to our Fulbright mission, but it's very specific in terms of trying to connect people, applicants up with different institutions. And more recently, it's also integrating institutional to institutional connections. So next slide, please, Sarah. I mentioned that we are part of the Ireland United States Commission, and that our sponsorship and our stakeholders and our raison d'etre really comes from engagement between the Irish and the United States governments. So clearly, all our operations are between Ireland and the United States. Our key Irish stakeholder are the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and a key sponsor in our Irish language programs, our FLTA programs, and other components that I mentioned under the Commission are from the Department of Rural and Community Development and the Gaeltacht. The Fulbright program itself then was set up in 1946. We joined it in 1957. It was run internally in government offices. Then in 1991, we followed the route of many other countries, and we actually set up a commission. So the commission was set up associated then with a statutory instrument, and that meant that we are the only commission, I guess, our agency that are formally set up for educational cultural exchange between Ireland and the United States in both directions. And in 2025, at least 165 countries are in the program. If you haven't heard me saying this before, originally when Senator Fulbright on the right there was setting up the program using Marshall funds and getting funds from different other sources after the Second World War, his expectation that there might be 7 or 8 countries would join. So I think with 165 countries part of the program, that in itself is a sure sign of success and the enduring legacy of the program, which isn't just an American program, it's a global program. So each and every country involved in this program is a bona fide partner in this. We are a commission. There are 49 in the country, in the world. Commissions are even more formalised, and it's a sure sign of the national government's interest and support for a programme to actually set up a Fulbright Commission or a Fulbright programme within a commission, as is the case for us. So we were set up to fundamentally manage the Fulbright programme and to offer other academic and cultural exchange opportunities. Next slide, please, Sarah. Fulbright opportunities then, which is what we're really here to talk about today. We are always saying we're looking for passionate and accomplished people to do the following. They can be students, they can be scholars. So we mean PhD or professional doctorates. It can be artists, teachers, art professionals with 5 years relevant professional experience across all disciplines, and it really does mean all disciplines, to either carry out research, to carry out study, to teach and lecture in the United States, particularly this part we're talking about. So it's Irish people going to the United States. That's the focus of our talk today. Next slide, please, Sarah. So what do Fulbright Awards provide? At their base level, it's a monetary grant. It's visa administration, which, as we all know, can be pretty significant in itself. There's accident and emergency insurance. There's cultural and professional programming. That's in yellow because actually that's a very, very big part of the program. And I think hopefully when we talk to Cian and Jack later today, you're going to realize the full extent of why we do it and what it means and the value you can garner from it. And then there's the ongoing support and links to a global network of Fulbright alum. That in itself is very, very significant. And I guess at the base level is recognition of personal and professional excellence. Even internally to yourself, it's always a nice tick box and a pat on the back, but other people will recognize that as well. Next slide, please. It can be an experience of a lifetime. I hear this time and time again. People do come back and say that really was an experience of a lifetime, and this does come from people who are global travelers, who've been who've been all around the world, been to the States possibly before as well. It is a recognition of excellence, and that's a peer recognition of excellence, because the majority of our selection actually works with your peers, Fulbrighters. So it's very much peer recognition of excellence. You're joining a Fulbright Irish family, but you're also joining global peers, a global Fulbright family. You know, once a Fulbrighter, always a Fulbrighter. It's an opportunity you can step in and out of as you wish, or remain fully engaged for the rest of your life, and many people do. Next slide, Sarah. So just as a kind of a richer view, I actually genuinely always like this slide because I think it shows a huge gamut of what Fulbright can mean and the experiences that people have. And I think that's one of the most important things to recognize for anybody applying now. You're probably considering the work you want to do or study and the research you want to carry out. But actually more and more, it really becomes about the experience that you have, where you go, who you meet, the memories you create, the memories you go back to and that you're able to carry with you. These are really the important parts. And realistically, this is why the Fulbright program has been so enduring. So next slide, please, Sarah. So I'm happy to hand it over to Sarah then for the next point. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Dara. Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Sarah West. I am our Deputy Executive Director here at the Commission and our Awards Program Officer for our Scholar Level programs. And now I'm going to talk you through the nuts and bolts of how the application process works for the Irish student applications and the Irish Scholar and the Irish FLTA program overall. So in general, opportunities that are open to folks to go from Ireland to the US follow this timeline. We are here now in August. Our applications are open and they will close on the 23rd of October at 4 p.m. Once the applications are submitted, they then are assigned reviewers who are discipline experts in your field. If you're successful with your review, then you're shortlisted and called to interview, and we host our interviews online. And interviews typically take place in January or February. Following your interview experience, then you will be notified of the outcome of that, and offers are made for awards typically around March and April. The interviews happen and the offers are made after a process that the Commission board approves the nominations, and then it goes over to the US side for final approval. And then once offers are made, We then work with you to process all of your documentation to get you starting your awards from August of the following year, end of August, usually September, and then on through, depending on the duration of your experience, from anytime from the beginning of September to the end of July of the following year. They need to be completed. And where we are now, we're in the planning phase here. You're reviewing information. You're here attending a webinar, which is an excellent place to start. You can start by identifying which program is right for you and then which award specifically you'd like to apply for, because you can only apply to one award per cycle. Then you're into planning your research proposal or your course proposal. And as Dara mentioned, the heart of why Fulbright is a different grant body than any other is because of the ethos of the program. There's lots of other opportunities that may provide funding, but this really at its heart is a cultural exchange program through the medium of education. And yep, you're here now, your interest has been registered, and you'll be onto your application. So in terms of an overview of the types of programs that we're running here for Fulbright, for folks who want to go from Ireland to the US, the Fulbright Foreign Student Program, which we call our Irish Student Awards, is open to people who would like to do postgraduate research or postgraduate degree programs. Fulbright funding can cover you for 4 months to 10 months. So if you're seeking a master's program that may be 2 years, you'd be required to find your other funding for the remaining duration of your program. The Fulbright Visiting Scholar Program, our Irish Scholar Awards, are for 3 months to 10 months. So you may go to the US for that duration to teach or to research, or do a combination of both lecturing and researching. And as we mentioned, our Scholar Awards, when we say the word scholar, we really mean academics and professionals with 5 or more years experience. If there's additional eligibility criteria for sponsored awards, you'll see the details in the award listing. And we have our Tech Impact Awards, our Fulbright Scholar Tech Impact Awards, which are unique to the Irish Commission. These offer a more flexible, shorter duration from 2 weeks to 3 months for anyone who's looking to either offer some tech to the US or that needs tech from the US for their project. So you don't necessarily have to have technology yourself, you may be seeking it, and that can be across any discipline. Then we have the Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistantship Program, which is to go and teach the Irish language and take courses in the US for up to 10 months, or for 10 months rather. The Fulbright Schumann Awards are hosted by our colleagues at the Belgian Commission, so you apply through them. The information is listed on our website, and this has a strong EU focus for issues that are both important to Ireland and to the US, and that's for study, research, and lecturing up to 9 months. So the best place to start is by reviewing the eligibility criteria within our guidelines, which I'll also go through here. Our awards are open to citizens of Ireland and also to EU and UK citizens who have been resident in the Republic of Ireland for 5 or more years. And as I mentioned, this is again, why Fulbright? Why not another body? Why specifically this one? So really justifying your rationale for why the US and why Fulbright. There is a J1 visa requirement that you'll have to meet that requires the 2-year physical presence requirement after your award. It doesn't mean you can't go to the US on an ESTA, but if you review within the guidelines, it would outline which residency visas you would not be eligible for in the US for a particular amount of time for those 2 years after you complete your J1 visa. Also, Irish awards are not open to dual US-Irish citizens, and you cannot be living or residing in the US at the time of application. If you have recent extensive experience in the US living or studying as well, you wouldn't be eligible. If you're curious whether you meet the eligibility requirements, you can of course reach out to us via email. And just to overview, there's what we call the All Disciplines Awards and then our sponsored awards. So All Disciplines Awards are brought through our core funding through the Fulbright program to cover folks in any discipline to go at the scholar level to lecture, research, or do a combination of both. And at the student level to go and do either a postgraduate course or a part research of your PhD. And then for our sponsored awards, these are made in partnership with institutions who want to work with the Fulbright Commission to collaborate on their strategies and areas that they're interested in. We have, you can see here on the screen, lots of different partners that we work with. And we also have these are really focused on the specific strategies for each institution. So we always recommend to read the award descriptions, dive into finding out more about the institutions where these awards are coming from and craft both ways through Fulbright and partnership with this institution in your application. And just to go through an overview of the opportunities that are sponsored at the scholar level, we have the Environmental Protection Agency Scholar Award in Water, Climate Change, and Sustainable Environment, GSI in Geoscience. We work with Chagas on Agriculture, Food, Forestry, Environment. We have a number of museum fellowships. Some are at the student level, and this year we also have the new Smithsonian Award at the scholar level as well. The Creative Ireland Professional Fellowship. That one has a 7-year professional work experience eligibility criteria, and that's an opportunity in the creative sector. As well, the Heritage Council Professional Award, the Tech Impact, as I mentioned, for short term, and the new Notre Dame Irish Language Research Scholar Award, which is a fabulous brand new opportunity that you can apply for to go and study, to research about the Irish language for 3 months to 6 months in the US at Notre Dame. Dara, would you like to talk through the student level awards? Oh, I think it's just muted there for you there. I'll pass over.
Classic mistake there. I just wanted to go back, Sarah, just to mention for the last award you mentioned, the Scholar Award in Irish language. Just say that's a very new one, and it's not quite live in the system, but we expect that to be in place probably by tomorrow evening, if anybody is interested in that. So please do circle back to look at that. Thank you. Sorry, next slide. So thank you. Again, I'm talking about sponsored awards in this. Sarah had mentioned all disciplines, and again, that does apply to all disciplines and how we fund. So for student awards, obviously there's a GSI Student Award, there's the Teagasc Student Award, and then we have a number of awards in LLM, particularly one in Fulbright, University of Notre Dame, International Human Rights Law LLM. That's it's a full fee waiver on that, so it tends to be quite popular. Students can apply, I say postgraduate at a postgraduate level, can apply for the museum fellowships in the Exploratorium, in the Harry Ransom Center, in University of Texas, Austin, Texas, and then the Smithsonian, which probably is one of my favorite ones. You get a Fulbright Award and going to the Smithsonian, I think it can't be bad. Then in EPA as well, a student award as well. We have a number of associated awards. What we typically mean by associated is that there is a partial fee waivers or there's a working stipend, if you provide tuition or components like that. For instance, the associated award to Florida Polytechnic is a very interesting one. It's been quite popular with Fulbright students from other countries. So I would certainly like to see Irish applicants taking up that opportunity as well. But it's in a number of different areas. So I would encourage people to look at it. There's another associated award at the University of Penn-Kerry. I believe that one then is running at 50% fee waivers. It could be 50, 75%. It's one of those. Then there's a great associated award at the University of Southern California. It's a very, very vibrant award and a vibrant opportunity. It's for master's students in science-related areas or PhD in engineering, and it's very well supported, and they're very, very open to applications. So, these are things we certainly would hugely encourage people to apply for sponsored awards in particular. There's a great opportunity there because not only are you engaging with the commission, but you get a great opportunity to engage with institutions or with agencies who are very specifically in your area. So it's very much of a double whammy, and I would strongly invite people to consider applying for that. I think realistically, for many years, I didn't make much comment on whether it was more competitive to apply for all disciplines or scholars, or sorry, for sponsored awards. But I think just the way things have gone in the last few years, probably the heaviest competition is probably at the all disciplines. So if you can fit under a sponsored award, I would strongly advise you to apply for that. The other thing we do say is be innovative in looking at the sponsors, thinking that how can I fit under there? Certainly a lot of we and the sponsors are very open to to kind of coming at things from left field. So don't be immediately discouraged on if you don't immediately see your area, and in that there may well be an opportunity to fix that in. Um, just a small mention here, we do have a specialist award, Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistantship Award. That's a student award. That's the FLTA program, and we will be hosting a webinar specifically on that. And then we're delighted that we have two new student awards. We have an excellent one, the Fulbright Centennial Student Award. This is actually heavily supported by the Irish Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. And this will be for an Irish student to go complete a one-year master's in the US. We have some funding as well, not just a stipend funding, but we have fee support funding there as well. So that's a very interesting one. And it's the area, I guess, just to where it's open to a little bit of interpretation, but it's really related to Irish and Celtic studies, which can include literature, Irish literature, music, dance, art, language, media, history, culture, politics, and heritage, or then historical and contemporary Irish and US interactions. So this is more looking at the Irish and US interactions through literature, media, politics, economics, and humanities. So it's quite broad, and I would encourage everybody to take a look at that. And then we just have pretty freshly minted as well. We have an associate award with Boston College Law School for an LLM. And I believe that's for, I think that's actually comes in at 75% fee waiver. So these are quite significant awards. And what they're essentially guaranteeing is that if you apply for this and you get a Fulbright award, that they will provide the fee waiver supports, the highest level fee waiver supports that they typically can't provide. Next slide, please.
Great. I can take over from here, Dara, to talk through a bit more about establishing your eligibility. Again, I think I went through this a bit, just looking through our guidelines. So on our website, you can register and you'll be emailed the guidelines for the specific program you want to apply for. And within there, there'll be even more detailed explanations about what counts for eligibility. And I think that if you have any questions, whether for your specific case, if you are not sure if you make it, just email us at awards@fulbright.ie, and we can certainly help you with addressing any questions you have about your specific situation. But mainly it's that you're an Irish citizen or an EU UK citizen with 5 years or more residency in Ireland, your rationale for the Fulbright program specifically, that you're prepared to comply with the J1 visa regulations, you're not a dual US Irish citizen, and you're not in the US at the time of application, and you haven't had recent extensive experience studying or living there. And in terms of your application requirements and how it's actually made, like I said, you go onto our website and you register to start your application. You're emailed the guideline packet which talks you through step by step of how to submit your application, literally screen by screen. The entire global Fulbright program uses the same online system. So through that system, you log in and you select Ireland from the drop-down menu, and our packet talks you through what to select as you go along. Depending on which program and what you're applying for, you'll be asked to upload or submit certain types of information or documents. But overall, everyone is required to put in their personal details and their CV, their Fulbright statement. This is a core document that the Fulbright Commission in Ireland requires, which really talks about you as a person, as a Fulbrighter. I'm sure some of our alumni might be able to speak to their Fulbright statement writing experiences. Being able to talk about you as a person, not just rehashing your CV. The project statement or your course objective at the student level, this is about what you intend to do through your Fulbright project, outlining it. Then for sponsored awards, as we said, if you're applying for anything other than the All Disciplines Award, you would be required to upload another piece of paper that has a little paragraph justifying why this sponsored award is right for you and why it is necessary for your project. Every application requires assigning 3 recommenders to support your application, and you'll be asked to upload a valid passport, your biodata page. For artists, there's samples of your work to be included, and at the scholar level, and for anyone looking to do research in the US, you're required to make an affiliation with a US institution and have a letter of support, an invitation from that person who has agreed to have you on board on the US side. And in terms of how you get in touch and find your US host, I'm sure our alum will also be able to speak to what that experience is like. But this is at the heart of that cross-cultural communication, cross-cultural network that Fulbright is. So why the US and why specifically the people and the institution that you're reaching out to? We often, there's big names that people might think of immediately when they think of their field in the US, but we strongly encourage everyone to think of the entire scope of the US, very diverse types of institutions that are out there. Uh, Dara, you have your line about being a rock star in Oklahoma, that you might not expect to see yourself there, but if you are the Fulbrighter in that space, then you have so much to offer. Lots of Fulbrighters are, at various institutions, but if you're the only Fulbrighter, perhaps at one institution, you would have a very different experience and be able to offer something really unique. So we like to see people really reaching out, trying to spread the Fulbright network as wide as possible and take it where it may be really needed. Um, Ways to do that, looking to your own field. Where are there experts? Where are there not experts? Where are they needed? Talking to alums, seeing where they've been, checking for recommendations. And we always say that pushing the door open with Fulbright, that the door is always warm, that it's easy to push in. The Fulbright story and brand is quite strong in the US. People would know it. It carries a lot of weight for experts in the field. So if you mention it, don't be scared to make an inquiry and mention the name Fulbright. The worst is that you're in the same position that you are, and the best case scenario is that it launches you through this application process. And yes, the hint there, it should make sense to you first. I need to go here because, and filling in those blanks for yourself. And in terms of preparing your application, I mentioned those two required components, the proposal and your Fulbright statement. So through your proposal, thinking again about why is this specifically groundbreaking work? Why is this necessary through the mechanism of Fulbright? And thinking about the objectives you want to achieve on your actual project, and then the longer term objectives and impact that it will have. And that's just in terms of your project. The statement, the Fulbright statement, the personal statement is more about you and how Fulbright then comes into your life. And as Dara mentioned, it's really a lifelong experience. So it goes well beyond just the time you may be spending in the US. And that's why Fulbright is different. So taking opportunity in the Fulbright statement to maybe tease that out and allow yourself to dream a bit about what being a Fulbrighter might look like. So you've submitted your application, you've taken a big deep breath and forgotten about it for a while. We take it off, the discipline experts review. At this stage, because it's reviewed by discipline experts, it's heavily weighted on your academic project statement focus, and the cultural and leadership engagement is a smaller portion of the overall percentage. However, if you score high enough on the robustness of the project at this stage, the interview time is when we really want to see you as a person communicating, because the interview panel may not be all experts from your discipline. They'll be spread across all disciplines, which is like what you will encounter in the US. And how can you explain what you're looking to do to people who may not be as expert as you are? And Dara, I'll pass back over to you here to talk a bit more about the heart of the commission. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so I think it's probably this is the part where we talk about what Fulbright is very much about, and we are dedicated to fostering merit-based excellence while honouring the unique contributions of every individual. This is really at the core of everything that we do and we talk about here. So we are welcoming candidates from all sorts of underrepresented spaces. I think when we first started talking about this, one of the biggest parts was people who deselect themselves, say, I would never get a Fulbright award. And I think over a period of a long time, we've kind of proven that wrong. We have people from all walks of life and all stages of their life. And sometimes the question we get where people say, well, I'm a retired emeritus professor. Am I too old for the award? There is no upper age limit. It's very much open to everybody. There is probably a lower end age limit, if you potentially require adult to bring you to the States, but I don't think I think maybe once come across that where there was a 14-year-old prodigy who was seeking to apply to the program, but I think it wasn't practical. But for most people, it doesn't. And I think that's the main thing, because we're very interested in you as a person. So we're not really looking at you from where you come from. That's a small part of it, but it's very much as you as a person and the richness that you bring. Next slide, please, Sarah. In terms of the resources, there are many. I mean, AI, I think, is probably helping more and more for you to identify all those myriad of resources. I would say when you are looking for information, just be conscious that the Fulbright program operates in 165 plus countries, but it's not exactly the same. We all have different variances, and we have different flavors, and our national identities can change that as well. So, take if you're reading something at a global level, do come back to the Irish Commission and just verify that it's actually correct in the Irish context. I would say great resources. Talk to Fulbrighters, talk to ambassadors in your institution if they happen to exist. Do look at our alumni videos and testimonials. I think that just gives you a sense for kind of the experience people have, and you should wrap that into your application, being that's the kind of experience that you want to have as well. There are Fulbright events, and you're at webinars here as well. You can look at affiliate groups as well. But I honestly would say that I think one of the key things you can do is probably talk to a Fulbrighter, somebody who's already been there, because I think they can really help you kind of get your thinking straight in terms of you as a person and in terms of the area you want to research or study. So, talking is easy, and it's probably the most efficient starting point. Next slide, please, Sarah. One thing to say, you're already here, and we found that 90% of successful awardees have attended a Fulbright roadshow or a webinar. There's obviously 10% who go outside that and are probably have found their information elsewhere. 50% of those who started but did not complete an application did not engage with any support. There is no shame, or there's no problem in looking for support either through the commission, reaching out to other Fulbrighters, reaching out to the resources we mentioned on the previous slide. So I think it's if you give up, there may be a very valid reason. It just is not the right time for it. But sometimes it's maybe I'm not totally sure what I want to do, but do reach out to people, because even if after that point, if you get to a decision, we say, well, this is not for me at all, or it's not for me this year, then you've made a more robust decision, but you've done it, you've sound tested it and checked it against other people. So I would strongly advise, do reach out to resources in the process of doing this. There really are no downsides. I can say this, but I'm also reflecting back what's said to me by many, many Fulbrighters, particularly those even who haven't, or applicants who didn't get an award or didn't get it the first time. All you've really done is you've spent your time, but it's your time well spent, because the process is so much about you that the information you garner can help you in all sorts of ways. If you're going for a job application in your CV, or you're thinking about your next steps, or if you're even considering what you're currently working on, and then a decision say, well, do I need to stay on this area, or what other opportunities are available to me? So it really is genuinely a great opportunity to reflect. Whether or not you put an application is another story, but certainly the process of it is always positive. You're pushing an open, warm door, as Sarah said, and now is very much a great time to apply. It's an excellent time to apply to go to work with your colleagues in the United States. And you are looking to join a Fulbright family. It's a very rich, vibrant family. We have two of our Fulbright family here today, so I think they can probably attest to that. But again, I will come back to the highlighted thing there. There are no downsides to applying for this. Start the process, see how far you get. You can always come back to it, or you could reapply in another year where you say, well, this is not for me right now, or I'm not sure what I want to do. But certainly start thinking about the process. It's very, very useful. It's a useful exercise all by itself. Next slide, please, Sarah. So in terms of your next steps, well, Sarah has obviously outlined the whole process timescale associated with it. We have ring there again, talk to a Fulbrighter, can't overstress that. There are lots of other things you can do. You can look at your host institutions, reach out to your recommenders, research the Fulbright ethos. It's not really an ethos for us, it's an ethos for you, for how you gain the best value from your experience. That's really what drives this. Obviously, look through our website at fulbright.ie. And then we have lots of different handles for X, Twitter, X Twitter is X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. I think we have Pinterest there as well. But anyway, you will find Fulbright Ireland all over the social media waves. So I'm delighted now for us to take a step back from speaking. And first of all, I'm going to introduce Jack Murray, who's going to talk about his experience. So, Jack, I'm going to mute myself now and hand it over to you. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Thanks very much for coming along, and thanks to Fulbright for the opportunity to talk today. It's very much a full circle moment. Dara was talking about 14-year-old child prodigies. That's not me at all. So just to introduce myself, my name's Jack. I'm a fourth year PhD student in pharmaceutics at UCC. I'm from Cork originally. I'm a pharmacist by training. Um, and just as a bit of context, my research focuses on developing mathematical models of drug absorption, looking at how drugs behave in the body as well in terms of metabolism and clearance. So for my Fulbright Award, I spent 6 months at the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy in Baltimore. Um, so I think one of the key questions you need to ask yourself is why are you going there? So for me, Maryland was the host center of two major FDA research centers. So the Center for Research in Complex Generics and the Maryland Center of Excellence in Regulatory Science and Innovation. Um, that area of the country in general has a very strong research tradition in drug development. So the FDA is based in Silver Springs, Maryland. The NIH is based in Bethesda. Johns Hopkins is based in Baltimore as well. Um, so early last year, I attended an FDA online conference on um, computationally informed drug development, where who would end up being my supervisor in the US, Professor James Polly, was speaking. So I brought up the idea of applying for this award to my supervisor after attending this very webinar last year. And through a stroke of luck, my supervisor happened to know this professor. So he sent Professor Polly an email. He was very receptive. We emailed back and forth. We applied, and luckily we were successful. So in August of 2024, I started my 6 months in the US. So in terms of what I was working on one hand, I was looking at um, machine learning models of drug absorption, um, looking at drugs which might be poorly absorbed by the GI tract and predicting if there are any excipients or other ingredients that they can be paired with to make them absorbable. And then the second was a cell-free model of an experimental cell-free model of drug absorption. So I think there's a picture of it um, on the next slide, that ugly looking thing there on the right. Um, so this is a hollow fiber membrane, and we were looking at the rate at which drug passed through this membrane. A little bit more to it than that, but that's the basic idea. So in terms of the impact the award had on my career and my research, so one of the key highlights was the opportunity to present at one of the world's largest pharmaceutical science conferences, the American Association for Pharmaceutical Scientists Conference in Salt Lake City, Utah. Um, After this conference, a few of my friends came out from Ireland and we went on a road trip around Utah. And this, for me, was definitely the highlight of the whole experience. Utah was an incredible place. We went to Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon, Arches National Park. We also went to the opening night of the Utah Jazz basketball team. You can see that there on the left, and then on the right there is Bryce Canyon. Um, Professionally, I also had access to facilities and to different training programs that I probably wouldn't have had access to back in UCC. So for my own research, I was trained to use ultra performance liquid chromatography with some non-standard detectors, which was very cool. Um, I was also invited to attend some smaller, more focused conferences on my area, which is pharmacokinetics and cheminformatics. And I made professional contacts there that I'm still in touch with today. Some of them have expressed a willingness in the future for me to come back and visit their labs, which is obviously very cool. Only last week I was invited by the American Association of Pharmaceutical Scientists to deliver an online lecture on drug absorption. And this is something that would very likely have never happened if I hadn't gone to the US for this award. Um, Sarah mentioned earlier that the award has very big name recognition in the US. It definitely does, and it can be used to your advantage. People at conferences in the US tend to take your research, I suppose, more seriously when they see you've been awarded this, and that's something I didn't expect, but it definitely does have big name recognition. Um, Outside of academia, you can see here I traveled to New York, where Baltimore is. I spent a lot of time in the different cities on the East Coast, particularly in DC and Philadelphia because they're so close. But I've also went a little bit further afield. I had the opportunity, again, the road trip in Utah. I went to Puerto Rico and to Chicago. Um, I had the opportunity to attend a lot of sporting events in Baltimore itself, including the Ravens and the Orioles games. So actually, that picture on the right there is more of Zion National Park. This is moments before I almost dropped my phone in the river, and then on the left there is New York. Um, but Baltimore itself is an incredible city. I'm open to correction on this, but I believe it has the first and I think one of the only Guinness breweries outside of Ireland. It has great food, great people. One of my biggest fears moving to a city that has less of an expat or immigrant population than, say, New York or DC, is that I wouldn't be able to integrate and that I'd be completely isolated for 6 months. But this wasn't the case at all. I made very good friends that I still keep in touch with, and we're currently planning trips back and forth across the Atlantic. So in terms of some tips for the application, I'd say to start early. Um, I think securing the letter of affiliation took a bit of time. Again, also securing references took a little bit of time because they have to register and write their reference. So I would start early. Um, Ensure there's a very good rationale for the institution you want to apply to. So for me, it was the presence of facilities that I wouldn't have access to in UCC, um, and the presence of those FDA research centers. The weight in terms of marking the awards is very much split between the person and the project in a way that other awards are not. I foolishly thought when I started applying for the award that I might be able to repurpose the personal statement I made for my IRC application. Um, that's not the case. They're very different applications. Um, and the weight is very much split between the person and the project, and it is a cultural exchange program. So that wraps it up for me. I'm always happy to chat to anyone. I'm on LinkedIn. My email is jackmurray@ucc.ie. I'll happily hop on for a Teams call or a coffee if you're in the Cork area. So thanks very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Thanks.
That's wonderful to hear about your experience, and you touched on so many aspects of why Fulbright is just a very unique funding mechanism and lifelong experience. So thank you. Now we'll hear from another Fulbright alum, Cian O'Connor from our 2024-25 Irish Scholar cohort. You could take it away, Cian, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, of course. And I think Jack did a great summary of a very rounded experience. But yeah, my name's Cian O'Connor. I did my PhD in the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, and I graduated in, I think it was May 2023. And specifically, I did a lot of kind of lab-based work looking at different materials, how we can make implants for people who have spinal cord injuries, and how we can use this to enhance the effectiveness of cell therapies. So that's kind of my background in a nutshell. I suppose when I finished my PhD, I was trying to figure out classically what am I going to do next? What's the next steps? And I knew I wanted to kind of broaden my horizons and ideally go abroad. And then, of course, like many of you here today, I attended a Fulbright webinar and I felt, well, one, this seems like an amazing experience, a very well-rounded program that's not just focused on research, but also just on having a really good personal and cultural experience. So I felt like this was a really good fit for me. And then at the time, it was around this time in 2023, I believe, I reached out to my supervisor, who very kindly connected me with a researcher that I was really interested in working with. And that's Professor David Mooney, who works in Harvard University and also another specialist institute known as the Wyss Institute. And the reason I wanted to go to these labs is because they really have these innovative approaches to how to make medical devices. And particularly in Boston, where they're based, they really integrate these kind of findings classically in the lab. Well, how do you spin these out and help patients, make companies? So there was a lot I felt I could learn, just not in the lab, but outside of the lab, that I felt would make me a better, kind of more rounded profile upon returning to Ireland. So how did I actually do that? As I said, I kind of reached out early. My supervisor very kindly made the link and was very encouraging at the time. One of the big things that's been touched upon already on this seminar and was the most helpful thing for me was I met with tons of people, not just over email, but tons of Fulbright alum, ideally over coffee. I love to chat, so it was a great opportunity just to meet people in general. But every time I met someone, I got even more encouraging advice and really some really, really profound things that I can incorporate into my application, especially at this point, I had only been to America once, and that was for a conference. It was a very quick round trip. So there was so much I learned from other people's Fulbright experiences that I integrated into mine. And again, talking with these alumni just made me want to apply and go even more. So that was definitely one of the most important things. I suppose when I got to Boston, I arrived September 1st. I was very jet lagged and it was a public holiday the next day, and I was wandering around and everything was shut. But it was an amazing, amazing time right from September right up to June when I finished. I lived with two people who were music lecturers, one in Bridgewater State University and another for the Boston Children's Choir. And so outside of my typical 9 to 5 job, I was then exploring a very rich kind of mixed cultural and music scene. And I suppose at this point, if you want to go to the next slide as well. Yeah, so I was exploring a really rich musical cultural scene, and actually, this picture of the MLK Memorial Concert is where I was during the inauguration. So it was a great way to explore a range of things through Boston. Of course, during my time in Boston, you can't go to Boston without partaking in the very rich sports, the Red Sox, the Bruins, and of course the Patriots. So I got a great chance to explore a lot of the kind of new American sports, and of course, I made a range of friends both inside the lab and outside of the lab. And this led to me traveling around other parts of Massachusetts, for example, here, apple picking, and then also going up to New Hampshire with my friends for Thanksgiving and whatnot. And then, of course, during my time in Boston, the weather was an experience in itself where it reached -17 at times in January, but it was a wonderful experience. So if you can go to the next slide. And again, just to emphasize here, one of the big things I did and was a real highlight during my Fulbright experience was I visited San Francisco, which is the complete opposite side of America. I don't think personally I would have been able to do this given the distance it is from Ireland to San Francisco. So this was a real great opportunity for me where I explored San Francisco, Palo Alto. And even at this time, I had made friends that were actually working in Stanford. So it was a great excuse to drop down and see them as well. And then, of course, made many friends across Boston, as seen here in the picture on the right. So next slide, please. And then, of course, while this was a wonderful experience for me, I was very fortunate to be able to share this experience where a lot of people came to visit me in Boston. Particularly, my dad ran the Boston Marathon in, I think it was April. He did an amazing time. He's 53 and he had never been to America before. And then, of course, many of my other colleagues, my friends came to visit me. And I also linked up with other Fulbrighters. For example, Adil Bassett here visited me in Harvard, who was only down the road in MIT. And then again, a real full circle moment was my American supervisor actually came to Ireland in March for a conference to give a keynote talk. So being able to play a role in bringing people from America to Ireland was also extremely rewarding. And even now, it's offering a lot of open doors for me where we're continuing to work together on research that nobody is doing globally. So I think combining experience from Ireland and America, at least in a research sense, offers a really, really novel approach to pursue some exciting ideas. So a very rounded experience. I loved every minute of it. I think one of the best pieces of advice I got was during my interview, which was just say yes to everything. And I tried to do that as best I could. And that again led to amazing experiences. In terms of the application, I'll just offer a few quick notes because I think a lot of them have been touched on. My award specifically was sponsored by HRB Health Impact, but also the NUI award. And when I was writing the application at the time, I suppose everyone's different and very interdisciplinary in their research these days. I felt I fit into multiple boxes or didn't just fit squarely into one. So I just wrote on the application that while I feel I'm a good applicant for this one because of XYZ, I felt I was also a really good nominee for this one. And lo and behold, I was fortunate enough to receive sponsorship from both, which was a great privilege. Again, I would encourage people to reach out to other Fulbright alumni, myself included, as well as Jack's highlighted. I'm always happy to talk to people and help offer any tips that I can. I think you have to be really open-minded. You can't just go there, work in a lab 9 to 5. I don't think that's a great experience for anyone. And I think some of the best and most memorable experiences were, of course, when I went and did something that I'd never even planned to do. Again, music, kind of cultural, traveling around can be a range of different things. And then in terms of other things, I think in your application, you really do have to be personal. It's not like any other application. You really have the luxury of saying why you as an individual and exploring your kind of personal history and past and tying that in. And I felt that when I was writing mine, I talk about my music experience, a range of different things that I've done in the past, and it really made it a unique application. So I hope that can be useful. But again, I'm happy to reach out to anyone. My email is keanoconnor@rcsi.com. You don't have to be an RCSI to get in touch with me. Just reach out anytime and I'd gladly have a chat over Team or Zoom. Oh yeah, and then just to finish, a few more pictures here. Again, I met some amazing colleagues who will be friends for life, and many of them are actually coming to Ireland next year for my wedding in April. So they'll be again traveling to Ireland the other way, which is really encouraging. And the final picture here in the top right is, although I'm a researcher, I actually did get out of my comfort zone and gave a lecture at Bridgewater State University on Irish culture, music, heritage, and through that I met amazing students who are interested in world music. So definitely an experience to get out of the box as well. So
Thank you so much, Cian.
thank
Dara,
you.
oh, sorry, did you unmute there? Do you want to jump in?
Sorry, you talk to me.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Do you want to take over
Apologies.
there?
No. I was going to thank Cian and Jack for giving all that information, comprehensive. It's great that you have all the photos as well. I've said for a number of years that if you don't have photos, it may not have happened. But these are great for your memories. And thanks very much for sharing your experiences and the photos. And this is not the end of it. It's the next stage in your engagement on Fulbright, and hopefully your engagement with your hosts as well. That keeps on going, and that grows from there as well. Over the period as well, we've been busy answering some of the questions for the Q&A session, and I think we'll probably keep going through those there. I was just answering a question there somebody had asked, an anonymous attendee, is it possible to have two hosts for a research-focused scholar application and to divide potential time into two periods? My answer started saying ostensibly yes. But as this is a cultural engagement program, you would need to make sure that you have an opportunity to engage where your host is at, and see how it breaks down. So if there's a case to be made, I guess we can certainly look at that. If it is that you're not there long enough and it breaks up your time there, you might consider whether you actually get an opportunity to really embed yourself in the States. So again, just understanding that because we support all disciplines, we're kind of discipline agnostic. And because we're more focused on the cultural aspects of that, we're less engaged with, obviously it's going to be important research or study that you're going to do, but that's less of an engagement for us. It's really for us is that you had an experience in the States, and that the program that you suggest allows you to do that. I can't be any more prescriptive than that because everybody's situation is different.
Yeah, if there's specific questions too about like your host and if they're eligible or if your plan, in principle is you can email us and we can always let you know if you need to reconsider some items.
And the 5 years residency in the Republic of Ireland, should that be consecutive years? Yes, please. Again, this is really just proof that you're engaged and you're part of our society and you will continue to be part of our society. That's effectively where we're looking at. If you're not an Irish citizen, or if you're not an EU citizen or a UK citizen with five years or more. So in that situation, please, obviously identify that you're 5 years plus residency.
Oh, Darren, and there as well, I think it's important, since Fulbright is a global program, if you don't meet the Irish Commission's eligibility, you might be eligible through another country's commission. So check out their eligibility and see if you can apply still for a Fulbright opportunity as a citizen of that country abroad. Yeah. I can see a question, if we bring partners and children as part of the award, does Fulbright offer support for those arrangements as well? So from a Fulbright funding point of view, we offer just the award to the Fulbrighter recipient. If you're going to bring dependents, those costs would be for the Fulbrighter to look at. The program offers the opportunity to have J2 visa sponsorship for any dependents, spouses, or children who are traveling to the US to join you for more than 90 days. If they're under the 90-day mark for a visit, they could travel over on the ESTA. So that's how dependents or family traveling would work for a Fulbright experience. And we've had many go over with families and integrate into the communities and have pretty amazing, unique, full Fulbright family experiences as well.
There's a question as well about recommendations. Should it focus on work experience or academics or both? Well, I guess it depends on your stage. If you're still an undergraduate student, you may have limited academic recommenders, so you may actually have to go back to recommendation from somebody from a work situation. I think if you're applying for a Scholar Award, I would focus primarily on getting your academic recommenders in place. There's a question then about somebody who had intended to focus my studies on an LGBT-centric topic. However, given the federal aspect of the program and the current administration policies, would it be wise to reevaluate this study topic? I guess it's a complicated answer to that one. I would say at a top level, certainly yes. Consider kind of closely the executive orders in what they develop. There is no absolute. There is absolutely no absolute in this space, but certainly I would consider looking for that. You might, if you do go ahead, you might consider your language, and you might consider the work that you're going to achieve from it. Is that, and focus down on the immediate aspects of that work rather than necessarily the future development of where that's going to go. So I'd say be very specific on that. And certainly, if you take an opportunity, this guidance really is still in development. The process is still in development, but it's certainly something you could consider. But again, kind of maybe an evaluation of your language. Somebody said, if you have been accepted into an MBA program but graduated over 10 years ago, is it better to get recommended from work rather than former professors? That's a good question. Sarah, have you any thoughts on that? My thought process would be to say possibly from your work. Former professors probably won't have much information about what you've done the last 10 minutes or last 10 years.
10 years and 10 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if one of them can be academic, I think it's important to be able to talk about your academic experience as well.
I think that'll be part of your CV as well. But if you've been actively engaged in a workspace as well, that counts. That's professional support as well. Somebody asking, can you submit a 3-page statement, or are they if they're size 12 font, double spaced, or should it be shorter? I would say compress that down. Choose your font.
1 to 2 pages.
Yes. So I would aim for 2 pages, size 10. It doesn't have to be double spaced. I made a comment earlier, just somebody said that to stick with 2 pages, don't reduce the font so small, obviously, that reviewers can't easily read it. But I think you can certainly go down to size 10, and single spaced should cover you. So aim for the 2 pages. Just be aware as well, if reviewers are reviewing a number of applications, if they've spent a lot of time looking at additional information, then that obviously then they might assess it under that guise as well.
Jared, just conscious we're at the 1 minute mark here.
Yes.
So I just wanted to wrap things up, and I know there's probably the proposal in the guidelines that'll give you all the information. Download those packets, read through them in detail, and just to close things out, if there's more remaining questions than we have scope for today, to email awards@fulbright.ie, and also the generous offers from our 2 Fulbright alum to get in touch. Also, research the alumni on our system, on our website, to be able to see who you might want to reach out to. I just want to thank everyone for taking time today to join us, and to our amazing 2 alumni, Cian O'Connor and Jack Murray, for joining us today, for your time. Thank you, and best of luck to everyone with your applications, and we look forward to receiving them. Take care.